Die poppe is besig om te dans. Translated, the dolls are dancing. Well, it means the chickens have simply come home to roost, whilst the SIU raids tended on Morgan Maumela's Sandton mansion as we speak, seizing assets in its probe into the Tembisa hospital tender scam. KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi wrapped up his evidence before Parliament's ad-hoc committee at midnight on Wednesday night. And our senior parliamentary journalist, Gerber, well, he's certainly been burning the midnight oil to try and keep us abreast of all the developments over the last 48 hours plus. He's joining us in our Cape Town studios now. Jan, welcome back to The Lead.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Sure, it's been a lot to get through. For the most part, I want to say that the committee has been sort of it's played a bit of a supplementary role to the main Nhlanhla Commission. It's obviously there's been replication, but there's been some political spice. What's stood out for you off the top of your head thus far?
The committee is going to be really upset if you say they did a supplementary role to the Nhlanhla Commission. They've been very Parliament, they have an important role to play. They're not the junior partners to Nhlanhla Commission, as Maumela put it. In my view, there hasn't been enough political spice in that committee. I thought the MP's questioning of Mkhwanazi was really poor yesterday. They didn't unearth much new information that we haven't heard at the Nhlanhla Commission. They didn't push back on some of the really wild things that General Mkhwanazi said. And yeah, I just thought it was. I've been covering inquiries and stuff where the questions were much more probing and actually delivered new information. While this commission was really flat. It was really poor.
Wow. Okay. And yeah, it's hours quite irregular. Okay. Let's begin chronologically with what we sort of learned that's perhaps new information, or perhaps wrapping up information that was first brought forward, or allegations first brought forward by Mkhwanazi during his 3 days at the Nhlanhla Commission in Pretoria. Let's start with one of the central points, and that's been the role of, or alleged role of, MPs or certain MPs in the allegations of criminal capture of the state and the facilitation of sensitive crime intelligence information. Let's begin with the DA's MP, Diane Kohler-Barnard. Some of the MPs wanted her recused. Why?
Yes. So Diane Kohler-Barnard, she serves on the Joint Standing Committee on Intelligence. She did so in the previous term as well. That committee does its work behind closed doors, and MPs are liable for prosecution if they disclose information there. However, before that, the new Parliament's committee has been constituted. Early this year, I think it was in January, our colleague Carl Cohen did a story about crime intelligence spending a massive amount of money buying properties. She posed parliamentary questions, which is her job as an MP. And this is what Mkhwanazi accused her of criminality, because she posed questions from information that was in the public. He says she should have done it at the JCI. To me, it seems like part of whenever somebody tries to look into crime intelligence, try and put a spotlight on what they're doing, Mkhwanazi accuses you of criminality. It's the same with IDAC, the same with our colleagues in the media.
Right. But I think the Fadil Adams saga is a little bit different.
Once again, crime intelligence crops up. I'm not entirely sure where Mr. Adams got this information from, but General Mkhwanazi alleges that he got it from somebody in crime intelligence. He laid charges against the head of CI.
In 2 different locations, if I remember correctly, what we heard from Nhlanhla, and our colleague Karen and Morn and I were chatting about this. Yeah. It was one in Orlando and one in Cape Town.
Yes. So, and following from those charges, I think it's General Kumalo and other CI officers were arrested, and they, standing trial now. So, again, when somebody's seeking to hold CI to account, General Mkhwanazi alleges that you've been doing something dodgy. He didn't present any evidence why what Adams did was criminal.
Sure. Okay. Let's move. And we're going to come back to CI again, because bear with us, lead listeners and viewers. This is a as you would say in Afrikaans, ja, 'n ingewikkelde storie die.
Yeah, it's got a lot of tentacles. But it
100%.
all points to CI.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. We're starting to see that picture emerge a little bit more in one direction. Let's go to IDAC. It's the teeth of the NPA. It's a specific body given more teeth as per the Zondo recommendations to prosecute more strongly or to take on cases where they get a little bit more of unfettered powers. Of course, IDAC's essentially been accused for the most part by Mkhwanazi of also being captured in some respects. What did he elaborate on before parliamentarians that we haven't heard at Nhlanhla? Yeah,
I'm trying to think back what we heard from Nhlanhla. Well, basically, his complaint about IDAC is that it followed through on the Adams charge and arrested Kumalo.
Right.
He says there are bad people in IDAC. He mentioned a certain Mr. Badayachi, I think. And he basically questions how dare they arrest or prosecute the CIA head.
Right.
He didn't present any evidence why it was wrong, by the way.
And just to preface that and to caveat that, of course, IDAC, as we're expecting here at News 24, and we've reported on this quite vehemently, is that they are going to be taking their own evidence to the Nhlanhla Commission once it resumes later this month, right?
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, I suspect that, I suspect they would, because the thing is, South Africans have been complaining that IDAC has been too cautious, has been too slow in prosecuting people. So I think they wouldn't have moved if they didn't have the ducks in a row. But we'll see. Yeah, well, we should see. But there's definitely a move from Mkhwanazi to keep these things out of the public eye.
Right. The line of questioning from the various different political parties represented within this ad hoc committee has taken us in all other directions as well. Let's talk to the political killings task team as a central theme of it all, and because that's also what it all comes down to. The disbandment letter. We got a little bit more information about how this letter sort of came about. We know that Mchunu, the now suspended police minister, had affixed his signature to it, but he didn't really draft the letter, according to Mkhwanazi.
Yeah. I assume ministers have staff drafting letters for them. I would Mkhwanazi's reasoning for alleging that is a bit superficial, I guess, like based on assumptions. We will have to hear from Mchunu himself what happened there. There will probably be a paper trail. It does seem that Mr. Mchunu's chief of staff, Shadrack Sibiya, is somehow involved in all of this. So he's one of the personalities who probably popped up a bit more during this testimony than he did in the Nhlanhla Commission. And it's almost like Mkhwanazi backed off a bit on Mchunu. He was like, he won't say he's corrupt, but he might be used, that type of thing, or that he's that people are furthering his political career while he allows them to go on criminality, that type of thing. Again, not a lot of evidence.
Yes. Mkhwanazi was quite emphatic, and again, this is a little bit of a hangover from Nhlanhla, is that he believes that President Cyril Ramaphosa was not fully aware of what Mchunu was getting up to, essentially.
It could be. We'll have to if the president will respond to that. I assume he will have to appear before either the ad hoc committee or the Nhlanhla Commission or both, the president. Mkhwanazi's reasoning is again based on the fact that Ramaphosa expressed his support or said the task team is doing a good job in May this year, like a few months after the supposed disbandment letter was issued. And that's why he says that Ramaphosa wasn't aware of the disbandment.
Right.
But Mchunu's plans to disband the task team.
Yeah. Perhaps Ramaphosa was shocked since he's...
Probably.
That's one of his favorite pastimes. Okay, but before we get to this, you have this excellent theory about the MKP MP's line of questioning to Mkhwanazi. They obviously, as a party, a big supporter of him, but notwithstanding he's from KwaZulu-Natal, but of course he's the provincial police commissioner.
Yeah, and he made it clear that he's apolitical, and it was quite interesting. His own political views are very contradictory. But yeah, I mean, I think first of all, they really enjoyed him having a pop at IDAC, because that's pretty much what they've been doing since they came to Parliament. they're launching they're busy with a campaign trying to discredit every institution that is trying to hold people account for state capture, while at the same time also alleging that there's state capture under Ramaphosa. So obviously these allegations coming up now suits that narrative.
Sure. And did you feel like their questions were probing enough?
No. I'm trying to be diplomatic here.
And fair.
I don't think that the MPs in that committee are particularly bright.
Sure. But Julius was the EFF leader, Julius Malema, was quite vocal.
Yeah, as he is. He was also one of the MPs who pushed back a little bit on one of the things that Mkhwanazi said. For instance, the thing he pushed back on was the judiciary of it's late in the day when Julius Malema is the defender of the judiciary, a week after he was convicted. But in any case, so Mkhwanazi alleges that the judiciary is captured, and it's based purely on on a magistrate who issued the bail conditions on the CI head, Khumalo, said he may not enter any CI building, which is like a standard bail condition in that type of circumstances. So according to Mkhwanazi, that is why the judiciary is captured. And Malema pushed back. He said, well, it's overreach to say that the judiciary is captured based on magistrates issuing bail conditions, which I thought was a good point.
Yeah. So Malema was kind of like flexing his, at this point, senior MP muscles.
Yeah. Also, he was also very not deferential, but very, he can get really hectic in parliamentary proceedings, but he was very soft-spoken, almost, I suppose you could say deferential towards Mkhwanazi. Most MPs were. It was very interesting.
Sure. Okay. Mkhwanazi then takes us down a little bit of a different path. He's quite, and we saw hints of this at Nhlanhla, he's quite upset about certain members of the media, certain Sunday publications, also taking aim at News 24 about, as we've alluded to at the beginning of our conversation, the revelations regarding this CI property deal that the current national top cop, Fani Maumela, had signed off of, a multi-million rand deal. What did Mkhwanazi say exactly here? And it's prompted a response from the National Editors Forum.
Yeah, he said that basically intelligence operations should issue conduct a counterintelligence operation against journalists. That's pretty hectic. I mean, this man is not a Democrat. Let's just be clear about that.
This sounds like the Forster regime.
Or the Stasi or whatever. It's hectic. And again, when he doesn't want any scrutiny on CI. Because he repeatedly complained about a report that News 24 carried on Saturday, I think, the one you referred to, about Maumela's involvement in that whole CI deal. He clearly does not want these things in the open. And he's willing to go and use state resources to go after people exposing it. It's really concerning.
Yeah, 100%. Journalists should be able to report on all aspects of a constitutional democracy as we know it, and we should be doing so without the threat of anything against us, stopping us in that process. What did the MP say about that?
Not much.
Great.
I was really shocked about that. The only MP who questioned about that was ANC MP Kusela Diku. She's the chair of the communications committee. She said it was a bit of overreach to say that journalists should be, investigated by intelligence for doing their jobs.
Yeah.
But otherwise than that, I was a bit disappointed that MPs didn't take that up.
Nothing from the DA?
No.
Sure. Okay. They like to push the narrative of media freedom, etc. But anyway, I thought this was also quite interesting before we move to one of the more meatier parts of the discussion regarding Bikitsele, etc. Before we move to that, I was saying to you before our discussion, DA MP Ian Cameron, of course, he's the chairperson of the Police Portfolio Committee in Parliament, had an opportunity to also put forward the fact that, and we heard it again from the Nhlanhla Commission, that he allowed essentially Mkhwanazi to make that very first address to Parliament. It's one of the most watched YouTube parliamentary committee hearings. And essentially, that's when Mkhwanazi first raises the flag around Brian Mkhwanazi, this mysterious associate of the now suspended minister. Cameron also said that he found it quite astounding that MPs then didn't really care too much about that revelation at the time.
Well, he's one of those MPs. He said something like along the lines of, we've heard a lot of chew on, we'll get back to it, and the committee never dealt with it. So what happened was, from what I gleaned from what Mkhwanazi and Cameron said yesterday, is that Mkhwanazi approached Cameron to attend that meeting and, say his piece. It was a 4-hour-long meeting, and towards the end that Mkhwanazi spoke, raising that Brian Mkhwanazi issue. And not much happened, well, not that I know of, happened from that,
It took a Nhlanhla commission being set up. Yes. It took Mkhwanazi going very public in a press conference in order for this to be back on the agenda. Yeah, is that not a parliamentary oversight failure?
Is. Yeah, I mean, we've heard testimony at the Nhlanhla commission from the legal head of police, who said Parliament didn't do its job. Mkhwanazi didn't go that far. He thanked Cameron for giving him the opportunity to speak.
It's the second time now.
Yeah, and he was he said if he expressed his disappointment that nothing came from it, but also that he was glad that it kind of motivated him to go public, and that he's now in Parliament speaking about it.
Right. Okay. Political party funding came up.
Well, not political party funding, more like politician funding.
Yes, different politicians' campaigns within political parties.
So I think, Mkhwanazi didn't say it, but we believe that Brian Mkhwanazi was involved in CR17.
Yes.
So I got the impression that Mkhwanazi was kind of like reminding politicians, ANC politicians specifically, that they know about what's going on, and that it would cause a lot of trouble if these things come out. The country will burn, he said. That's very Zuma-esque, to say, I've got intelligence. If you come after me, I'll make that intelligence known. That's very Zuma-esque. But I do think that there's probably a lot of material in that realm and we know there's money exchanging hands during these conferences and elections and things, and that politicians need money for their own campaigns internally, and it is a murky world, and we need much more transparency there. It's actually one of the areas I do a lot of work in party funding, but it's almost impossible to get any information about that type of funding, that personal funding.
Yes, because there's threshold to how much we can know about within the public domain.
The funding for politicians themselves.
Yes,
because most of it is like dodgy.
Yeah,
and I mean, imagine if you're like running to have a position in a political party, and you go around telling people, "This guy paid me $1 million. This guy," nobody's going to vote for you. The public,
Yes, of course. It's all done in shady corners and cigar pubs.
Yeah.
But Mkhwanazi has told us something new in this parliamentary ad hoc committee that we hadn't heard in Nhlanhla, and that they are investigating a trust fund linked to the now suspended minister, Mchunu.
Yeah, that's like I would say that the biggest new thing.
Yes.
He said they're going to dig until they find gold. Which is interesting.
Very interesting, and also that he's quite open about the fact that that's an ongoing investigation. On one premise is that just a...
He made it clear that he's the complainant. He's not the... He's the complainant. What they're doing is... or what he did was later complained about defeating the ends of justice. Sorry, it was a long two-night. Defeating the ends of justice. Because of the closing of the political killing task team meant that certain cases wouldn't be investigated, and it involves Lieutenant General Sibiya because he took over the dockets.
By the way, the reports as we speak is that Sibiya may face arrest.
Yes,
and that currently as we speak, Jan and I, that report is currently being followed up, and stay tuned to the News 24 front page for the latest bit. And that's why I say the poppe
Yeah,
besig
and
om te dans vandag.
that's why I was like considering what should I say, what has been confirmed. but the timing of this is very interesting, very, very interesting.
Right. Now, Biggie Clearly and the cat payments, talking about money exchanging hands. Not from what I gleaned from the testimony that Mkhwanazi gave, it's not necessarily Biggie Clearly giving money to Vusi Cat Nhlanhla, but it's into a bank account that Vusi's aware of, and so there's communication between the two, allegedly.
Yes. So what Mkhwanazi testified to is that Tele, who appointed him as provincial commissioner, by the way, and he keeps referring to him as General Tele. But in any case, so Tele sent banking details to Cat Nhlanhla, and Nhlanhla paid money into that account. So what the investigation is trying to do is to link that money to Tele.
Sure. Okay. And this is, of course, off the back of News 24's investigations team finding on 3 different instances. One, clearly staying it over at a swanky Pretoria lodge that was linked to the cat. There's the missed calls between Clearly and the cat on another occasion. And then the Zimbali Villa Lodge owned by Morgan Maumela that apparently was the location for Clearly and the cat. That we know of, that has been confirmed. Yeah, was any of that raised?
No, only that payment thing. But Maumela is also having an interesting morning, I've gathered.
Okay. I think we've covered quite a lot. Maumela, the current National Police Commissioner, he's he's in the hot seat at this particular committee. Anything major that he's...
So far, no. They've been covering a lot of background structural police issues type things with the evidence leaders. So far, nothing major coming out, but I think the poppe will be dancing again later this afternoon.
Okay, but he did say, the police is not in crisis.
I mean, he told that to the committee before as well, to the police ad-hoc committee. But I mean, the police commissioner is not going to tell the people holding him to account, no, it's a mess, But again, the News 24 reportage will be featuring in the evidence later this afternoon.
Okay.
About Cat Nhlanhla's tender with the police.
Yes, the 360 million rand health services tender, which later got cancelled, and the various WhatsApp communications and exchanges allegedly happening amongst these. What do we even call them at this stage? I'm struggling to find the words, right? Because the rot is so deep at this point. Quick 2 points before I let you go, and I know both of us need to go to lunch. Whilst the Parliamentary Committee sits on lunch. I thought this was very interesting. I'm always trying to bring this whole story down to brass tacks and what it means to the average South African person. There are too many generals, too many chiefs, and too few Indians when it comes to the central command of the SAPS. That's what Mkhwanazi's basically affirmed.
And interestingly, Mkhwanazi and supports the DA's plan to decentralize the police and to give the provinces more power. So maybe that's why they didn't ask him difficult questions. I don't know. And it's been my long-standing observation from covering the police in this committee. There's sometimes before the Parliament bill burned down, the whole committee room would be filled with generals, when they came to, say, the annual report or something. And if you look at the structure, there's, definitely too many generals. It's something that come up now, and it muddies the reporting lines, and it complicates things, and what are they all doing? And also, some people are there for political gain, obviously.
Yeah. And we know, of course, Katiso Katie Malefe, the alleged death squad leader in Gauteng, as well as Vusi Cat Nhlanhla, are alleged to have made up the 2 of the 5 heads of this big 5 criminal cartel. But Mkhwanazi has still not given us the names of the 3 other elusive figures, right?
I mean, I've been quite critical of all the stuff he didn't want to say publicly, but that one makes sense. I mean, if you're investigating these guys, you can't, tell Parliament, we're investigating this guy.
Mkhwanazi's apparently being investigated.
Yeah, but we already knew that. So.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, no, I mean, I understood why they can't. I mean, obviously we want to know. Everybody wants to know, but I get why they're keeping that one secret. Yeah.
Sure, Jan. I think we need a big holiday after all of this.
No. I mean, the hours has been hectic. 2 nights, deep into the night, and you have to concentrate the whole time because there's a lot of moving pieces to the story, like we said earlier.
Yeah, but you got a big shout out from the rest of the newsroom. Fantastic work. I love the analysis that you bring, as well as the context, as well as comments and theories. All fair game in our live blog on the front page of News 24 with the last headline, Maumela, police not in crisis, as our senior parliamentary correspondent, Jan Gerber, keeps us abreast of all the developments there. Jan, I'll see you on the other side of this mess.
Cool.